Welcome back into NFL in a Flash here on Sports Radio WNML.com. He's Joel Silverberg. I'm Eric Kane, and we're going to tell you the big important things from this past weekend in the National Football League. Joel, we'll start with the Tennessee Titans as we always do. A gritty 20-17 win against the Houston Texans, a divisional win. They were shorthanded. Their top three tackles were not there. Of course, Delaney Walker out for the year, and Blaine Gabbert made the start at quarterback. What's to say about the team for Tennessee and Mike Vrabel's first win?
And Kevin Byard threw a touchdown pass, so he can do it all now. No, I think it says a lot, being able to figure out ways when you have a patchwork offensive line, you have no Jack Conklin, no Taylor Lewan. Dennis Kelly, the backup tackle, is hospitalized with a virus, so Tyler Miraz goes in as a third-string tackle, signed from the practice squad the following week. It's a huge win. You do it against a divisional opponent. The last time you saw Deshaun Watson, he wiped the floor with you last season, so it was a Houston team that had high expectations coming into the season. They went 0-1 after the season opening loss to New England, and now so they came in with a sense of urgency, and you still put them on the brink. So 0-2, obviously a lot of time left to be had within the AFC South, but still, that's a huge win for Tennessee to avoid going to 0-2 when you've got Jacksonville and Philadelphia coming up in the next 2 weeks. I thought it was a big win for Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, Mike Vrabel, his first win in the National Football League. Went for it on fourth down, and it came back to bite him in Miami. He does it against Houston on Sunday, and it works out for him. The fake punt, I mean, it's evident early on in the Mike Vrabel era that if he believes he can get it, he's going to go for it. As a player, as a fan, do you like that in a head coach?
Yes, I think, too, sometimes in a first-year head coach, you see them try to do things like that to get the crowd into it, to get the team fired up. And in the Miami loss, it didn't work. You went for it on 4th and goal. The play call, Corey Davis probably needs to stretch out that route a little bit further. That's a conversation for another day. But if the fake punt doesn't work, then Mike Vrabel doesn't look like a genius. If one of those 4th down conversion attempts doesn't work, Mike Vrabel looks like a very questionable hire, and instead he continued to take risk, but continued to take calculated risk, and they paid off. A couple of times where he went for it on 4th and inches by sneaking Blaine Gabbert, and it worked. And you look back on how the game progressed, and it turns out that it was enough. The way that Mike Vrabel, okay, so do we take this 9-yard gain or do we take the offsides penalty to run the clock out? And Tennessee's defense, which in late game situations often struggles with protecting the pass game in the secondaries we saw against San Francisco last year, stood tall, were able to get some tackles inbounds when Houston had no timeouts left, and they preserved the win.
We'll stay in the AFC South. A huge win for the Jacksonville Jaguars in a rematch of the AFC Championship game in Jacksonville against New England. Of course, it was reversed last time, but I'm not ready to hit the panic button on New England. I know they just went out and got Josh Gordon. They're going to get Julian Edelman back in a couple of weeks, but I'm not ready to hit the panic button. But a nice, convincing win for Jacksonville, and they got great play from Blake Bortles, which is something that in his 4-year career so far is few and far between.
Yeah, that's a career day from Blake Bortles, and I think when you have that with the Jacksonville defense, it's going to make any team tough to beat. Now, are we going to get that every week from Blake Bortles? It remains to be seen. Last year was obviously the best season of his career, not just with team success, but was not turning the ball over time and time again as he was the first 3 years of his career. So a big win for him against a really good New England team. I wouldn't hit the panic button just yet. We've seen this happen every season. The last 3 or 4 years, it becomes a regular thing where within the first 4 weeks of the season, the Patriots suffer a really bad loss where they don't look like a great team. It's a 16-week season. Expect New England to be able to come back and progress throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, is this the year Tom Brady, Father Time, finally catches up to him? Those are always the question. It sets the showdown for Tennessee in Jacksonville next week in a huge AFC showdown there. All right, let's go to the NFC North. Another tie. The Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers, that gutsy performance against Chicago last week, comes back, plays. Kirk Cousins hits the comeback trail, brings the team back. Of course, kickers were the issue here in week 2, but a tie ball game. But a key play in that ball game where it looked like Green Bay had it all patched up, a roughing the passer call on Clay Matthews that I believe was very, very questionable. But that play right there, the new helmet rule, all these precautionary tales to take care of the quarterback, that was the story, and that's ultimately what handed the Vikings a chance. What did you think about that play and ultimately another tie in the National Football League?
Oh, the call wasn't questionable to me. It's not pass interference. He's hitting him as Kirk Cousins is releasing the football. He doesn't, the roughing the passer penalty used to be if you take 2 steps and then hit the quarterback after the ball's out, it's roughing the passer. Clay Matthews begins to make his move to lunge towards Kirk Cousins as he's still in his motion to throw the football. Even in slow motion, it's obvious. And usually, so in real time, if I can tell that it's not roughing roughing the passer in slow motion, I can't see how an official in real time watching that live could say that it's roughing the passer with the way that he hits it. It's a good, clean hit. Cousins seems fine. It negates the interception. I think Green Bay got jobbed.
Real quick, let's go to the West Coast, AFC South, of course, in the AFC West. I mean, Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs took a calculated risk dealing away Alex Smith, who isn't going to light anybody up, but is a game manager. You know what he can do for the young Patrick Mahomes, and well, so far so good. 10 touchdown passes, no interceptions, and the Chiefs are 2-0.
Yeah, with 2 really impressive wins. You get a win over a division rival in the Chargers, who some thought, hey, that could be a trendy pick to win the division and make some noise in the AFC this year with Phillip Rivers and all that, and Patrick Mahomes. In his first career start as the confirmed starter, we'll take away the win over Denver in Week 17 last year, and then goes out and beats a Pittsburgh team that probably came into this game feeling like they needed a win. Remember, Pittsburgh, the tie last week against Cleveland, Ben Roethlisberger doesn't play well, and then on Thursday night, you watch one of your divisional opponents, Cincinnati, start 2-0, and instead, Pittsburgh's defense doesn't show up. Mahomes throws 6 touchdown passes, which is just unheard of in today's NFL. You just don't see that as much anymore. And the Chiefs are 2-0, in control of the AFC West. I know that Denver's 2-0 as well. Kansas City has looked like the better team through 2 weeks so far.
A lot of playmakers in that game, and of course you picked Tyreek Hill last week as your playmaker from the weekend. This week, my playmaker of the weekend, I'm going to go back to that Vikings-Green Bay showdown. Stephon Diggs, 2 touchdowns, 9 receptions, 128 yards receiving. One of the best receivers in the game, had a breakout year last year or 2 years ago, and he's continued the pace here. My breakout performer of the weekend, or my playmaker of the weekend, Stephon Diggs. Joel, who do you have?
I've got Khalil Mack. He had a huge week last week in primetime on Sunday night, and then Monday night against Seattle was in the backfield all night, was giving Russell Wilson all sorts of problems. Chicago needed the win. Their defense came up huge, and Khalil Mack was a big reason for that. So twice he's been under the spotlight after this controversial trade from Oakland. He's answered the bell. He's been very, very good for the Bears so far through 2 weeks.
2 weeks of the NFL season is in the books. We'll come right back here on Sports Radio, WNML.com next week on Tuesday, recap Week 3, and look ahead to the weekend. With Joel Silverberg, I'm Eric Kane. This has been NFL in a Flash on Sports Radio, WNML.com.